Protesters in New York City have found a new favorite address, and they are occupying not just the streets outside, which you can see this is a chopper shot that we cannot take control over. So we wish that this helicopter would pull out, because you'll see people at the top of the screen beyond our banners. There are many of them. Some of them have made their way into occupying the lobby at Trump Tower. This is in protest of the arrest and detainment of Mahmoud Khalil. Remember, he is a graduate student who was on the campus of Columbia University professing hate. We know that he was a very high-profile face along with groups on that campus who are pro-Hamas on Columbia. And when ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, picked him up, the protesting began. Now, some of it has not looked like protected speech or protests. It's looked more violent than that, as people have pressed physically against NYPD officers in this city. Let's watch the video now. This is what happened inside. And can you hear them chanting? Listen carefully as we go to that. Free Mahmoud, free them all.
Free Mahmoud, free them all. Free Mahmoud, free them all. Free Mahmoud, free them all.
So you hear them chanting, free Mahmoud, free them all. I'm wondering, Ari, who are they all? And if the world is watching our nation right now, and they know us as you know, a bastion of free speech, so on and so forth, when you hate, when people feel under threat because of what you're saying, that's actually not protected speech.
That's right.
And look at some of the signage in here. I mean, they hate Israel, they hate Jewish Americans, they are anti-American.
I'll make two big points here. One, I'm going to start with the speech facade, the myth that this is about speech. What happened to Mahmoud Khalil had nothing to do with speech. It has everything to do with creating an encampment that is where Zionists are prohibited, where Jewish students are not allowed to walk on their own campus. These are crimes. These are deportable events. These are things that we would never tolerate. As for all these people who are now in Trump Tower, I hope that this administration will do what the Biden administration did to the January 6 people who walked inside the Capitol. They have the technology, get their faces, match it up with the database, and if any of them are non-citizens, every one of them is trespassing. They all should be deported from this country, too.
But wouldn't they be trespassing anyway if they are causing people to fear? There are people who pay to live in that residence. There are businesses on that floor of the lobby. This is not a safe situation. If you are Jewish in that building, do you feel safe?
Well, whether you feel safe, don't feel safe, whatever the legal remedy is to give the State Department under Marco Rubio's leadership, any of these people are not citizens, they should be deported. We have to have a new way of approaching this. The streets of New York have got to stop getting shut down on a regular basis, interfering with ambulances and fire departments and people trying to get to their jobs. We don't have to have mayhem in our streets because these people, the face of the Democrat Party, are pro-Hamas.
Well, and this looks like, Lisa, this looks like what we saw in Columbia University last year with the tents. Those T-shirts were printed. Come on, this is not an accident that people with identical T-shirts show up at Trump Tower and then they occupy the lobby. I mean, coincidence is interesting. It's just usually not applicable.
Well, yeah, I mean, they hate Israel, obviously, in the West. But I think it's hilarious that they believe this is going to have any impact on President Trump, a guy who survived an assassination attempt and then took the stage at the Republican National Convention just days later. So this is going to have zero impact on him. He's not swayed at all. So you're wasting your time, people out in the streets. But look at who the left makes their heroes, right? This guy.
Yes.
Hamas, George Floyd, Jacob Blake, a guy who pulled a knife on a police officer. So they have some strange heroes. And then look who they won't stand up for when you look at President Trump's speech to Congress, a 13-year-old with cancer, Laken Riley, right? So this tells you everything about their values, and they're totally misaligned with the rest of America.
Look, there was a representative we had on the show last week, Representative Gooden of Texas, and he was the person who ripped the sign out that said this is not normal as President Trump was walking into that joint congressional address. And he said, look, when you've had enough, you've just had enough. So America has had enough. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and President Trump have had enough. Will the Democrats ever have enough of this kind of hate?
Yeah, I watched a video of one of Mahmoud Khalil's, I mean, he has like a dozen attorneys.
It's a lot.
Appeared to be an attorney saying that the wife said, my husband was kidnapped. Okay, the American government does not kidnap people, first of all. Your husband is getting his student visa taken away. And you mentioned Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said, this is not about free speech. Nobody has a right to a student visa. Nobody has a right to a green card. And that is exactly right. You put the statute on your show, Harris, the Immigration and Nationality Act, I believe it was yesterday. If you are suspected of articulating a viewpoint or pushing forward or helping a terrorist group, there are different nuances with the exact wording, you can get your visa yanked away. And by the way, the Supreme Court is very friendly to arguments about national security as it pertains to the federal government.
Excellent point.
It is their purview.
Section 237A4C of the Immigration and Nationality Act, if you should want to look it up. I try to read it out loud every day.
By the way, he wasn't kidnapped. He's getting a free flight to Syria. He shouldn't have complained.
Well, I mean, he was
Born in Syria.
born there. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Look, Emily, as we look at this, though, and read those signs. Fight Nazis, not students. So does that make the rest of us in America Nazis? What are they even doing right now?
Well, I just point out to how tragically misguided this is in terms as well of that coverage and amplification. So they are saying free Mahmoud. What about free Adon Alexander, who was the United States American hostage who is still in the clutches of Hamas? How about freeing the remains of the 4 additional American bodies that are there? The urgency, the intensity, and the congealed nature of this, the fervor. I wish there would just be an iota of that would get even more coverage of the Americans that are still there. And I've been trying to read what their T-shirts say. And on the back it says, Jews say stop. I can't read the bottom too, but there have been shirts out there that say stop arming Israel. And I know that there are plenty of printed that in these similar protests that say Jews say stop arming Israel. To your point about the signs that say fight Nazis, not students, what about fight Hamas?
Yes.
I mean,
they're not going to do that.
The whole reality, and this goes back to our, by the way, our A-block discussion of the Democratic Party, because Rahm Emanuel purposefully did not go to any Ivy League campus as he's going out there and talking about this, right? These are bastion and fomenting grounds for this kind of ideology, patently unacceptable, and those people are trespassing.
Yeah, but this is personal now. That's Trump Tower. That bears his name. Think about all the people who've gone after Trump. Not just as president, but previously. All the lawfare against him. Letitia James, the Attorney General of the state, the governor, Kathy Hochul. Think about the people who have gone after him. This is his tower bearing his name. They would love it if his name were not on anything in the city. That's what the district attorney and AG and the state of New York and New York City were trying to do. They couldn't win on that from a side that would rather we not have real freedom in this country, because real freedom isn't just for the people that you like. It's for everybody. There, but by the grace of God, go any of us if Jewish Americans are afraid when they go to sleep tonight because of the stuff that's happening on the streets of some of our cities.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.